Kia ora koutou katoa, no mai haramai ki te ao Hākinakina. Welcome to your sports show right here on your Tribal Pulse, Te Kore Mako o Taranaki, 94.8 FM and 98.4 FM. Well, he is a multi-talented Taranaki sportsman whose career spans rugby league, touch, golf, coaching and Q sports, from representing Taranaki and being selected for national Māori sides to coaching representative sides and generations of young players to winning pool tournaments across the region. He has left a real mark on our local sporting community. No mai hara my Uncle Stacey O'Carroll. Kia ora.
Kia ora, bro. Kia ora.
Hey, good to have you on the show, Unc. But before we get started, ko wai koe no he koe, just a little bit about yourself and where you're from.
Oh yeah, born and bred in Waitara. And just brought up by my grandparents. My sister got pregnant when she was 16 years old and had me. and I was just brought up by my grandparents growing up, and born and bred in Waitara, bro.
Awesome. Now, for you as a young tamariki, as a young kid brought up in Waitara, obviously a lot of sportsmen and women come out of Waitara, but for you as a young fella, who was some of your your mentors or those that you looked up to as a young person coming through the different sports?
Well, growing up in Waitara as a real young fella, we had a lot of things to do. Like I started surfing when I was about 7 years old with a couple of New Zealand legends who went on to become New Zealand champions, Jason Matthews and Johnny Grocott. And we all started surfing on the same surfboard, and Johnny Grocott's mother's surfboard. And I was, just let everyone know, I was the first one to stand up before those fellas. But we lived on a corner section where we had a big sort of front yard, and we used to play leg, bull rush, and all the neighborhood kids. All the neighborhood kids used to come and play on that corner of Gold Street there. And my uncle lived across the road, Uncle Henry Matuku, said if I made the Taranaki rugby team in intermediate grade, he'd buy me a brand new pair of rugby boots. So that's how it sort of started when I first started playing rugby in that.
Wow. Wow, awesome story there. Well, it didn't take long, because in 1988 you were selected for the New Zealand Māori Rugby League side as well as the men's open touch side in the same year. What do you remember about that that period of your career? Obviously, you must have been killing it at the time.
I was playing for Taranaki at the time, and we went to Northland to play Northland, and Northland were always hard to beat on their home ground. This is for Taranaki Rugby League, and I was actually the captain of that day. Old Henry Katani was our coach, and I don't know, Bad News Brown from down the coast was our manager, and Henry couldn't go on that trip. We went to up north, and I think we were on the first Taranaki teams to actually win up at Northland in that period. And I got man of the match of that game. I scored a couple of tries. And Richard Bolton was the manager of the New Zealand Māoris, and Len Penny was the coach. And straight after the game, they sort of come over and had a yak with me with regards to, because I was playing centre at the time. And I wasn't the biggest centre, but I could tackle. I used to love tackling, and I marked this Fijian boy up there, and his one of his thighs were like the same size of my two thighs put together. But I used to love tackling, and I was tackling him all day. And ended up talking to them after the game, and they wanted to know if I'd played in the halves, and then I said no, I've just been a centre my whole Premier life. I'd only been in there for a couple of years. I started playing premiers when I was like 16. And, but I think I was about 20, 22 then. And so they rang up our coach in Waitara and asked if I could play in the halves a little bit, because they wanted me to be like a bit of a half centre and cover centre, because you had a lot of good centres running around back in them days. Jason Mackey and them, Gary Mercer and them all were running around in the centres back in them days. And I come back and played in for Waitara, and Big Daddy put me in at halfback, and we were playing Hawara, and it was the first half. I think I'd already made like 19 tackles in the first half, and I was sort of felt a bit like He-Man, thinking, sort of like in the New Zealand Māoris and stuff like that, going to Tonga that year, and ended up breaking my arm. And then in hospital, Damon Bailey and Raina Tawaki took me to hospital after the game. And while I was in there, bloody Richard rings me up saying, "Oh, we just heard the bad news, boy. Oh, never mind, next time," sort of thing. Yeah. Missed out on going to Tonga that year, bloody hell.
Oh, wow. What a journey. What a journey. An awesome journey. You represented Taranaki on many occasions. What did it mean to you pulling on the Taranaki jersey?
Oh, it was huge, man. When I was a young fellow, I remember being like 12 years old, and over the camp reserve, Taranaki were playing Wellington. And, you had Moses Kemp, Mike Isaacs, Kerry White, Rodney White, these are all my cousins and that. And I'm that 12-year-old kid waiting outside the door, watching them run out. And when Wellington come out, mate, I thought, Jesus Christ, these are the biggest men I've ever seen, mate. You had the Henry brothers and the winger there. Greg Rowe was making his debut. I think he's 18 years old. And he was marking this giant. It was muscly as guy. And I just remember thinking, shit, he's going to get killed here. But on that day, I thought I seen the best rugby league player in my life, bro. His name was Willie Southorn. Wellington kicked off. Willie Southorn gets the ball from the try line and runs straight through their team. They couldn't stop him, and I was thinking, geez, who's this guy? He must be the best player in New Zealand, because they just couldn't stop him, mate. And I thought to myself, holy hell. But yeah, some of the guys in there, I think Wesley was playing, Brucey Gore, Jack Nucky, Billy Rona. He had all these fellas, and it was like, this is what I want to do when I grow up.
Yeah.
But when I was 15, another little story, Wayne, I went to Auckland for holiday, and I don't know if you know Greg Selwyn, but he's one of the Bell whānau. His mum's a Bell, and Greg Selwyn was his name. And we went and watched the Kiwi trial. It was Probables, Possibles, and Howie and Westy and all those fellas. And you had the Sorensen brothers, and and Greg was the ball boy, and so I was hanging around with him. And I was around where they run out of the grandstand in Carlo Park, and Howie comes out and he sees me and he goes, "Oh, hey, boy." And he took me in to meet all the Kiwis. So you had the Kiwi team playing against the next Kiwi team. And we were walking in. He goes, "Come in, I'll introduce you to the whole team." And I went in, and Kurt Sorensen walks out just from having a massage. And, mate, he was like the Hulk, bro. He was just had a pair of shorts on, and he just had his back rubbed down, his legs rubbed down, and no shit, he looked like the Hulk, bro. It was like he was covered in oil, was muscly, so big, and I just couldn't get over it. And then Howie takes me into the changing room, and I met the whole Kiwi team, bro, and that was one of my highlights of a 15-year-old kid.
Wow,
it was brilliant, mate.
What an awesome experience. And obviously you went on from, that young kid to coaching or to playing and then on to coaching. So make sure to stay tuned, whānau, because we're going to come back shortly to speak with Stacey about his coaching career also.
Yeah, bro.
Kia ora koutou katoa. Welcome back to Te Ao Hākinakina. We're here with Stacey O'Carroll having a kōrero about his journey in footy at the moment, but also we're going to talk a little bit about pool, Q Sports as well. But before we get on to that, now coaching. Now, I know you've coached for some years now, Stacey, and obviously started with the junior grade. You also coached at a club level with the Waitara Bears, Mid-Central Vipers, Taranaki and the likes. What are some of the, what got you into coaching? What made you want to give back to the game and coaching? And what are some of your highlights of your coaching career, coaching juniors all the way through to seniors?
Yeah. What made me get into coaching was I went and watched a few of my nephews play, like under sevens grade, and the coach was just a volunteer parent, and I don't think he'd played league before, but he put his hand up to coach in that, and I thought, shit, these kids are a bit unorganised. So I went up to their training and I watched them train, and all they did was play bull rush, bro, and then at the end of it, just go home. And so they didn't know what a dummy half was and anything like that. So I thought, I'll come up and give the guy a hand. And I come up and give him a hand and got a little bit of structure, like dummy half, first receiver, second receiver, stuff like that stuff. And started getting right into it, and sort of started from there, really.
Awesome. Well, a lot of players that you've coached over the time have gone on to higher honours under your tutelage. And who are some of those players that have kind of kicked on?
Yeah. We had so many good players. I'll tell you what, mate. There was so much talent, not just in Waitara, but across the board in Taranaki. A lot of the Pātea, Hawara, all these kids down there, they had raw talent and heart. The stuff you couldn't really coach those kids, but you just need to try and harness their, their skills and all that. And, they're always going to go a long way. But you had Curtis Rowe. He went on and played played for the Tigers. He was an outstanding athlete. You had a lot of kids that were really outstanding athletes, really. Jesse Peretti, who went on, he ended up getting a 4-year contract with Melbourne Storm and didn't like their system. I think he was the youngest junior to play in the under-20 grade over there. I think he was like 17, and their culture, and he told me the culture over there was, if you're the youngest and the newest in the team, you basically have to carry their bags and stuff like that. He didn't like that sort of system. He'd done a year here while he was still at Boys High, and then he went over there for a year, and he just didn't like the culture of, he had to carry the older kids' bags into the airport, stuff like that sort of thing. And so he come back, but then he went on to play Super Rugby and Taranaki Rugby, and he's still playing today, I believe. But also Makahisi Makatoa is a great story too. His parents come up to me when he was about 15, 16. I coached a 16-year-old side, Taranaki, where we went all the way to the final. We played Auckland in the final, and Dean Bell was the recruitment officer for the Warriors, and he come up to me before we played them in the round robin section and said, who do I need to be looking at? I said, my 2 centres, my 2 second rowers, and my 2 props. But basically they're all playing well. And we got up there, played Auckland we got up there at 10 o'clock. So we were kicking off at 1 o'clock, and it was like 30 degrees heat. And when we played them, we were down 18-14 at half time. We were the closest team to get by them, because in that team you had Salivai Havili, Carlos Tumavavi playing for them. You had a lot of professional Warrior players playing for them at the time. Salivai was playing for South Sydney the last couple of years. But but I believe because we were there in the sun, sitting around in the sun, and then we played them 3 hours later. The following week we had to go to Wellington, and I knew we were already in the final against Auckland, because the top 2 teams go to the final. And I said to them, I don't know if we're in the final, but we got to go down to Wellington and beat Wellington. And Johnny Lomax was coaching the Wellington side, and we get down there, and Bully Luke was down there, Isaac Luke, and I asked him to come around and have a word with the boys. He come around, he had spent about 10 minutes with the boys, giving them the uffie and the thing, and we ended up bloody thrashing Wellington about 40 odd points to about 10 or 15 or something. And then we go to Auckland, and I ring up Dean Bell, and I said, hey, look, mate, we got up here 3 hours before kickoff, and it was like 30 degrees, and it was the same weather. I go, is there anywhere we can go before the kickoff? I don't want to get to the field until about an hour before kickoff. He goes, yeah, mate, what do you want to do? He goes, oh, there's a mall there. I go, I sweet, we'll go to the mall. So on the bus driver, I go to the bus driver, take us to the mall, bro. I go to all the players, forget about football, go around and have a look around. We're going to strap up 12:30. Anyone needs strapping, we're on the bus at 1:55, kicking off at 2 o'clock, I think we were. And then, everything panned out good. We went to the field, and on the bus on the way, I just told everyone to think about what they're going to bring today as a centre, as a winger, as a prop. Just think about your own jobs, and just think about number one as defence. So that was all good. And we get to the field. I was really good at motivating, getting into our kids' minds, where just making them believe in their own abilities. They're no different to us and all that sort of thing. And then we're up 10-4, about 5 minutes to go, and then that bloody Salevai Havili scores under the post. It was 10-all at full time, bro. So we go to extra time. And I said to the captain at the time, we had a lot of great players. I said, win the toss, bro. We kick off. And if you can, kick it dead. We won the toss. He kicks it dead. Next bit, they drop kick out to us. I said, if we get the drop kick out to us, we work it in, drop kick, we win by 1 point, And it all worked out, bro. We kicked it dead. We worked it in. And I'm going to take the kick on the fourth. And our kicker was Aaron Fitakia, Hāwara boy. They're a really outstanding player. Should have gone on to higher and bigger honours too, that kid, because he just had everything. But, so he's going to take one more. So take one more, and we're about 35 metres out. He takes a drop kick, and it looked like it went over, bro. I jump up like we won, and he's like, oh, no, he missed it. I mean, that's all good. Just keep them in their own territory, and then get to half time, we turned around. I just said, keep them in their own half. If they're going to take a drop kick, it's going to be by 50 metres, And we kept them in their own half, and this kid takes a 55-metre drop kick, bro, and he goes right between the posts ahead, and the ball's up about this. He goes straight between. We lose 11-10, bro. That's one of my coaching highlights, bro. We also got 5 kids in the Merit side, New Zealand Merit side, and I think we got 7 kids in the New Zealand Māori side that year. Wow. So, really successful that year.
Unreal. What a story, what a journey. And I actually remember that age group that you were coaching. Outstanding coaching, outstanding team. What a great journey there. Well, make sure to stay tuned, Whānau. We're going to be back to talk to Uncle Stacey some more about some of his Q Sports activities and also Māori golf. Kia ora koutou whānau, welcome back to Te Ao Hākinakina. We're here with Stacey O'Carroll having a kōrero about his sporting journey. Now, pool, Q Sports. How long have you been into pool? And I hear you're a bit of a gun and you've won a few tournaments. What drew you to the game, and what does it take to be a sharpshooter on the pool table?
I when I wasn't working, my day was gym in the morning, go for a game of golf, and then go for a game of snooker, bro. Played snooker down here. Carl Jones sort of got me into it. And then we started going around and hitting all the pubs and for money, because I was unemployed. I was on the dole. So we'd go around and into New Plymouth and around Waitara. You had about 2 or 3 comps in Waitara where it was $200 up for grabs. And, of course, we'd go and play snooker during the day, which give it, sort of got our eye into the thing. And when you hit the little tables, shit was a lot easier. That's how I got into it, bro, yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. It's a pretty cool game. Now, you mentioned golf. Now, I know you've also been involved with, the Māori Golf Nationals. And, obviously, you mentioned how you got into golf. But what do you love about golf?
Oh, mate, the thing is with golf, there was 9 of us that actually started playing golf, and we used to go around and borrow Damon Bailey's father's stick because he lived across the road from the golf course. So we'd go across the road, jump the fence, and Charlie Mack, old Charlie Mack was the club captain, and so we'd go do all the holes sort of away from the clubhouse. Otherwise, you had to pay green fees. And there was like 8 or 9 of us. You had Kent Martin, Jock Collingwood, Terrence Nivens. We'd go down and jump the fence. And then we'd do every hole except the ones around the clubhouse. And then one day, old bloody Charlie Mack spotted us. Yells out to, "Hey, boys, come here." So we all went, "Oh, shit, let's go." We all went over there. And he goes, "Look, we're going to do you a deal. Join up to the club as associate member. It's only $80 a year, and you can play as much as you like. Come down, you don't have to bloody jump the fence." And it was like, "Yep, sweet." So that's how we got into it, bro. We started like, "Yeah, we'll pay $80. Wow. Play as much golf as we can." Yeah, man, it was cool.
Oh, that's awesome. And I've seen you guys go off to the Māori Nationals a few times, which looks like an awesome experience as well. But looking back across all these sports that you've been involved with, touch, league, snooker, pool, everything that you've been involved with Māori golf. What are you most proud of, and what keeps you connected to the sporting community today?
Yeah, it's just the friendships and the things like New Zealand Māori golf. We've been going to the New Zealand Māori golf tournament the last 4 or 5 years, and we're lucky enough to be hosting the 2028. We were told that, we'll be hosting it, but it's sort of unofficial. But, it looks like we're going to have the tournament here in Taranaki, in Waitara and Taranaki. So we've approached Nanukurihi Golf Course, Waitara Golf Course, Ngāmotu, and Inglewood as a backup, because you need 3 courses to run the New Zealand Māori comp, because there's about 400 Māori competitors. And, just with the Māori golf, over the last few years, just the friends you meet, like from Christchurch, as far as Christchurch to as far as Kirikiri. You meet a lot of lovely people, and you make friendships that for the rest of your lives. And we just went up to Kirikiri in January, and first day we were there, a mate of ours, Anzac Leaf, he brought us around a big bag of bloody oysters, smoked mussels, and bloody raw mussels, and it was like, oh my God. But it's just the friendships that you pick up, and the competitiveness, bro, of some Māoris, you turn up to a tournament and next minute, shit, you're playing the best golf of your life, or playing the worst. Yeah. But it's just basically the people you meet, from all the officials to right through to the thing. It's like your whānau, eh, bro? It's, you have a game of golf, you compete against them, you're trying to beat them and that, but then you go into the clubhouse afterwards, have a cold beer with them, have a laugh, and bloody up Kirikiri. You even start singing on the bloody karaoke, bro. It's bloody cool, though, bro. Cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Stacey, thank you for sharing your amazing journey with us, from rugby league and touch to coaching to Q Sports to golf. Your contribution to Taranaki sport and to developing young talent has been huge and immense. And it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. So thanks for coming on the show, and look forward to seeing your continued journey.
Kia ora, brother. Thanks, Caps. All the best, bro.